There was a single beat of silence on the other end, then a cold laugh. Fine, don't come crawling back. He hung up just like that. No hesitation, no regret. For at first, I just couldn't sleep. I'd lie awake for hours, replaying every moment of our relationship. Terrified I had made a mistake, that I had judged him too harshly. I'd scroll through our old text messages, searching for clues, for proof. But the more I looked, angrier I became. I started to hate him. 6 years in, an entire chapter of my life. I hated him for throwing it all away so easily, for treating me like I was disposable. For I am one morning, I deleted him from everything. I got out of bed and in a fit of rage, gathered all of his belongings, stuffed them into trash bags, and hurled them into the dumpster behind my building. I thought I would feel better relieved, but it was like squashing a mosquito that had been tormenting me, only to find it was my own blood that splattered on the wall. I went to work pretending everything was fine. I could feel the gaping hole in my chest, where my heart used to be. It had been rotting for a while, a part of me that was attached to Alex. To save myself, I had to cut it out, but the wound was too big. I was bleeding out. A final blow came when I saw him at a company-wide meeting. He was the same as always, composed, confident, in control. In fact, he looked better than ever. Losing me hadn't affected him at all. I saw Renee catch his eye from across the room, a faint blush on her cheeks. That night, then Sammy came back with a vengeance. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. Alex wasn't on social media, so I started obsessively stalking Renee's accounts, dissecting every post, every caption for any hidden meaning, any clue about him. It all came to a head when I collapsed at work from low blood sugar and was rushed to the hospital. Alex stayed to visit me. It was the 29th day since our breakup. He sat Saturday by my bed, casually spinning the matching ring we used to wear on his finger. "You've lost weight, Chloe." I stared at him, my eyes vacant. "I'm sorry," I whispered. A triumphant, self-satisfied smile spread across his face. We got back together. They say it's better to rip off a band-aid quickly, but for someone like me, someone with no willpower left, that wasn't an option. The only way out was a slow, quiet withdrawal. I would keep him in my life, but I would slowly, methodically stop expecting anything from him. It was like boiling my own heart in lukewarm water. The process wouldn't be painless, but at least the end wouldn't be a violent shock. At first pretending to be okay, pretending not to care. Still hurt, but Alex seemed pleased with the new me. He'd pat my head like I was a well-behaved pet. "You're finally growing up, Chloe." After 6 months of this self-imposed therapy, it started to work. I really was becoming the person he wanted me to be. He'd stay out all night, and I wouldn't send a single text. I stopped asking about Renee, and then one day I realized it was over. The rotten part of my heart, the part that belonged to him, had finally detached. It fell away without a sound. I stood there for a moment stunned, then I smiled. I immediately sent my resume to a company in France that had tried to recruit me a year earlier. I turned them down. Then to stay with Alex, they offered me the job. My flight was in 2 weeks. I didn't plan on telling him. Our relationship was already an afterthought. To him, my leaving would be a non-event. I became more understanding, more accommodating. But as I grew more detached, Alex seemed to grow more agitated. I thought I was imagining it. I came home late from work one night, and as I was about to get in the shower, he stopped me. He looked at me, his eyes narrowed. "Is there anything you want to talk to me about?" I yawned, genuinely confused. "No, why nothing," he said, his voice flat. "Go ahead," but something was definitely wrong. Later that night, in bed, his touch was harder, more demanding than it had been in months. He held me from behind, his hot breath on my neck. His whispers were soft, but his movements were rough, almost punishing. "Renee has been giving you a hard time at work, making you work late. Why didn't you tell me?" he murmured. My stomach cramped. I couldn't understand what he was so angry about. All I could do was gasp for air and plead with him. "It's work." I was being professional like you wanted. I was remembering the time my old boss, the one who'd assaulted me, had set me up to take the fall for a huge mistake. Alex had publicly humiliated me in front of the entire company. Even an intern wouldn't make a mistake this stupid, he'd said later that night. I tried to defend myself. "You could have at least let me explain. Business is business, Chloe," he'd said, his face as cold as it had been in the boardroom. "I only look at results at the office. I'm your boss, not your boyfriend. It's not my job to protect you." 2 days later, my boss was fired for being rude to Renee. Everyone assumed I would be promoted. The Renee, who hadn't even finished her probationary period, was given the job. She became my boss, and now here I was finally playing by his rules, being professional, not causing drama. And he was angry. He suddenly flipped me over onto my back. The light from the lamp was too bright. I shielded my eyes, a single tear escaping and rolling down my temple. He tried to pull my hand away. I resisted, my voice weak. "What are you doing?" He pried my hand from my face. He stared into my eyes, his own expression intense, almost desperate. "You used to look at me," he said, his voice raw. I didn't know what kind of game this was. I just wanted it to be over. I forced myself to meet his gaze. In that instant, a flicker of panic crossed his face. He quickly covered my eyes with his hand, as if he couldn't bear to look at them anymore. He kissed me, murmuring my name over and over again. "Chloe." The next day, Alex called an emergency meeting and asked Renee for a project update. All the work had been done by me. Renee stammered, unable to answer a single question. "If you can't even be bothered to understand your own projects," Alex said, his voice dangerously quiet, "perhaps you shouldn't be in this position." The entire conference room was silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Renee burst into tears and ran out of the room. After the meeting, the office break room was buzzing. Did you see the look on his face? Is the boss's girl finally getting fired? Was quietly making a cup of instant coffee when someone nudged me. Chloe, what do you think? I have to say you're tough. Another coworker chimed in. I would have cried if Alex had yelled at me, like he yelled at you. I had no interest in their drama, but in an office, silence can be mistaken for betrayal. So I played along. Hey, I'm just a worker, B, I said with a laugh. What do I know? It's probably just a lover's quarrel. You know how it is. It'll all be fine by tomorrow. I took a sip of my coffee. Besides, they look good together. Honestly, I kind of ship it. As I said the words, I realized the break room had gone completely silent. I looked up. Alex was standing in the doorway, his face like a thundercloud. The pity and looks from my co-workers followed me as I was summoned to his top floor office. The second the door closed, he was behind me, his arms wrapped around my waist. I jumped. He was always so careful about us being seen together. At the office, I was always forced to get out of the car, 2 blocks away. But now the door was unlocked. Any of his 7 assistants could walk in. At any moment, someone will see us. I was trying to push him away. He ignored me, turning me around to face him. He searched my eyes again, looking for something I no longer had to give. After a long moment, he dropped his hands. Chloe, he said, his voice low. There's nothing between me and Renee. He started to say something else and stopped. Forget it, I know you're still mad, but I'm going to prove it to you with my actions. I stared at him stand. The commitment I had begged and cried for before was now being handed to me on a silver platter. But my flight was in 7 days, and I didn't want it anymore. The weight of Alex's words hung in the air thick, unexpected and utterly meaningless. I stared at him, my expression blank, as he paced the length of his office, his usually composed demeanor fraying at the edges. The city skyline loomed behind him, a backdrop of glass and steel that felt as cold and impersonal as the man in front of me. Renee's transferring to the London office, he said, stopping abruptly to face me. I approved it this morning. She'll be gone by the end of the week. His voice was tight, almost defensive, as if he expected me to cheer, to throw my arms around him to beg him to stay. But I just stood there sipping my cold coffee, wondering how we got into a place where his grand gesture of proof felt like nothing more than an inconvenience. I didn't ask you to do that, I said, my voice calm to calm. Alex's jaw tightened. He was used to reactions. My anger, my tears, my desperate need for his approval. This indifference, it was throwing him off balance. You didn't have to, he said, stepping closer. The scent of his cologne, cedar and bergamot, the same one he'd worn for 7 years, washed over me. Once it had made my heart race. Now it just made me think of missed anniversaries and unanswered calls. I told you I'd prove there's nothing between us. This is how I prove it. I nodded, setting my coffee cup on his desk. Okay, he repeated the word like it was foreign. That's all you have to say. Okay, what else do you want me to say, Alex? I asked, meeting his gaze for the first time in years. I didn't flinch. I didn't look away. Thank you for firing the woman who made my life miserable. Thank you for finally choosing me after 6 years of choosing everyone else.